How much should you charge for copywriting services? This is something my students ask me all the time, and it's actually a pretty complex topic. There's a lot of moving parts and things that are going to influence how much you charge for copywriting projects. And I want to go over in this video the typical fee models you can do, and we'll also go over AWAI's copywriting report and industry report that actually has the common copywriting rates, and you can use those as benchmarks for your own projects and clients. And to jump right in it, there's typically 4 ways you're going to charge for copywriting. There's per word, and honestly, you shouldn't be doing this for copywriting. Some people do, and some clients might ask it, but you honestly should steer away from this because this actually originates from content writing services, content writing mills, and websites where they pay you per word. And it can be okay if you're doing content writing and maybe you're just starting out and you want to kind of get your foot wet, generate some income, totally fine. I did it back in the day. But definitely not for copywriting because you're really moving the needle for a client. You're generating sales and conversions, getting them customers, and driving real business results. So charging per word doesn't really make sense. Next is per hour. This is great when the scope can change for a project, and per hour is great in general. So if you want to charge maybe $25 to $50 an hour to begin, that's usually a pretty staple copywriting rate to begin with once you have some experience under your belt and you're confident in your writing. And it's great because let's say something changes, there's a bit more work, well, you can charge per hour and it fills in. It's good for you, it's good for the client. Maybe if something goes a little quicker than expected, you're not overcharging the client. So it's really good when maybe the scope is loosely defined or you know that it can change and things can pop up or it can be shorter than expected. And then there's per project. This is always pretty much my favorite. This is a flat fee, so it's really understandable for the client. They know exactly what their expenses are up front. They know exactly what the scope is and what they're getting. You know what you're writing. It's all laid out really nicely. And you want to base this fee based on your hourly input. So maybe you would estimate that it takes 20 hours to finish it. You charge $50 an hour. And then obviously you want to also include the value because you have your experience. You're driving them business results. You put in a lot of time into this project, but also learning and crafting your skill. So you would also include that. So maybe once again, 20 hours times 50, that would be 1,000, but then maybe you also make it 1,500 or 2,000 or even more depending on the project. Just a simple example, but typically you're gonna estimate your hourly rate for the project and then add some more for expenses and your time and the value you're adding to that client. And then also what is my favorite is monthly retainers. This is awesome if you really wanna boost up your income as a copywriter because it's predictable and measurable for you. You know every single month you're getting in a certain amount of revenue. The client also knows exactly what they're spending and what they're getting. And let's say, for example, you have a client that's $1,500 a month. Well, if you get 3 of those, that's $4,500. That's a pretty good income as a freelance copywriter. But I've actually had retainers that go up to $4,000 or $5,000 a month or even more, depending on what you're providing for that client. Now imagine having a bunch of those retainers. You can make some pretty serious money just off of having a few good retainers. And something I wanted to look at is AWAI has their industry report here. Based on the fee ranges for different copywriting projects. And I'll actually put this in the description for you to check out because it's pretty good just for getting some benchmarks. And then when you have a new client come along, you don't know what to charge, you can use this as a reference. And now to begin here, there's web content and other online copywriting. Site content audit and reports. So this is for boosting search rankings for SEO and finding gaps and opportunities on a client's website. This can be pretty good for something you initially do to get your foot in the door. So you give them an audit and a report. Maybe it's in a spreadsheet or use certain software or tools to give them that report. And AWAI says to charge between $1,000 and $2,500, which is pretty fair. If you do an SEO report, copy audit, things like that, it's very valuable information that they can hand off to their marketing team or other people in the company, and then they can execute on that and get some serious results. So it's not uncommon for audits and reports to be a pretty decent fee. So consider that and maybe start building that into your copywriting offering. There's keyword research. This, of course, once again, is for search engine optimization. That can be $500 to $1,500, which is pretty fair. I've seen that go into different retainers and projects before. Key message copy platform, so getting top results on all channels with a master messaging roadmap. So this is probably for thought leadership and establishing brand identity and consistency across all of their channels. You'd probably be doing a bigger project or a retainer where you're writing copy for email, their website, social, PR, different channels. And for something like that, it's a bigger project. So they're saying $3,000 to $7,500. Homepage content, so SEO and sales conversion copywriting. Very commonly, clients might ask you to write their homepages or their websites. And this is really good because it sets the stage for the customer, their branding, has a big impact on conversion rates and revenue. And they say $1,500 to $3,000 for a really good homepage. Even for an entire website, maybe like a 5-6 page website or so, you could easily charge that amount too. You know, roughly $500 to $600 per page. That's pretty common. Category update, SEO and sales conversion, copywriting. So rewrite the main web pages such as about, services, subscribe, $250 to $1,000 per page. Once again, still in that range of maybe $400 or $500 a page to rewrite it. And also you can once again include that audit in there, and then it kind of gives you that funnel or that opportunity to upsell them on these other services. Product page updates, $100 to $250 a page, so generating more traffic and sales for specific products or services. These all kind of fall into the same range. You're essentially charging a few $100s per page, so maybe you can just kind of create a flat amount, $300, $400, $500, depending what you want to do. And then no matter if it's the homepage or the about, services, you can just charge a flat fee for that. Cart sequence, so this is for email copywriting and probably Shopify or e-commerce. People typically will abandon their carts before they check out, and having a really good sequence to follow up with those people is really valuable, and a lot of companies get a lot of revenue by following up with those consumers. So $400, $800, you could probably charge more than that, to be honest, but it's a decent place to start. New pages, so something brand new using professional compelling copy for all new products and services, $500 to $1,250 per page. Once again, it kind of falls into that range. That sounds right. Now we're getting into more general copywriting. So banner ads or text ads, $250 to $1,000 per ad. That's fair. I've charged that before. Online sales pages for a single promotion. So it looks like $3,500 to $5,000 for beginners, or up to $25K for highly skilled professionals, plus royalties in some cases. So think of maybe in this case to be more like a sales letter, long form sales page. That would definitely be one of the more expensive copywriting projects you could take on. And these rates sound about right. As you do get up there, you can charge royalties as well. You have to make sure that you're working with a company that's able to measure that and report on it, because you want to make sure you're getting fairly compensated, but it is something to consider. Or even maybe you take a little bit less up front, but then you get a certain percentage of the sales. That's something you can think about. Lead gen landing page, $500 to $1,500, a microsite, $3,000 to $7,000. So a super specific website with 2 to 5 pages. That might be a little bit too much, especially if you're like a beginner or intermediate. Once again, for like a 5-page website, I think like 2 to 3,000 is pretty fair, but that's definitely something you can aspire for. Articles, so SEO articles, 250 to 1,000 depending on the word count. It says 1,200 to 2,000 words. Once again, we talked about the per word aspect that comes from content writing, so that's something to think about. Editorial piece for newsletters, $200 to $500. That's pretty common for emails. If you're looking to be an email copywriter, $200 to $500 per email is not a bad place to start and to be at. Blog posts, that's essentially the same as an article. In a way, you could kind of get into the nuances of what makes them different, but really it's the same thing there. Editorial calendar, this is actually pretty cool. So if you're doing any kind of retainer or social media marketing for your clients, you could make them a content calendar. And essentially you map out the topics, the keywords, when they're being published, the tone of voice, different information like that. And then you can give them that calendar and then actually write the post itself. So maybe you charge $500 a month for the calendar itself. And then you're charging, let's say, $500 per post. If there's one a week, you're getting $2,500 a month just from the content calendar and the blogging. Pillar posts, so these are really long form articles that typically make them a thought leader in whatever niche or topic you're doing. $500, $2,500 a post. I've made that from long form articles before. So as you get more advanced, you can charge, definitely on the higher end, but long form pillar posts, definitely a good way to make money, but that falls under more content writing again. So keep that in mind. Copywriting services, a how-to guide or tour. Press releases, $500 to $1,000. VSL, so long form VSL. So these are going to be your sales letter scripts for videos. $5,000 plus based on the length. That's fair. It can even be 10, 15K depending on exactly what you're doing and the budget of the client. And we can go through all these. There's literally 80, but I'll link it into the description so you kind of go through it and use it as a benchmark. But once again, just to refresh, per word, typically better for content writing. It's okay if you're a beginner, but eventually you want to move away from that so you can scale up and earn a lot more. Per hour, that's always going to be a staple depending on the position of the client and their budget and the project you're taking on. Per project, having a flat fee, it's usually the best way to go. And if possible, get them on a monthly retainer. Try to present it in a way that you can be writing their marketing material and copywriting on a regular basis and every month, and then they know exactly what they're getting, how much they're paying. And again, you can get a few good retainers and seriously scale up your income. So I'll put all this in the description for you so you can reference that and save it. If you want to know anything else about copywriting, you can let me know in the Discord or drop it down in the comments. But I hope you're having an awesome week and copywriting is going great for you, and I'll see you in the next video.